So here are the results of the water fast. The weight at the top there. First thing I'd like to say is that I normally hover around 10 stone, 10, 11 pounds. That 11 stone 2 pounds was taken the morning after eating nearly 5,000 calories, which is abnormal for me to say the least, and for most people I imagine. And the second thing I'd like to say is that I'm now 2 days after the fast, and I'm 10 stone 4 pounds, so I've regained quite a lot, because a lot of what I lost would have been water weight. Underneath you can see the ketones going from pretty much nil to 5.8 millimole, which is above the nutritional range and into the starvation range according to the chart that I looked at. Underneath that we've got blood pressure, which is pretty much the same, although the diastolic has gone up quite a bit. Pulse underneath that. So I've done 3 there. So the first measurement was on the first day, and then the last measurement was on the last day. The first day I'd been doing some running, so I don't know whether that affected my pulse and had reduced it. And then the last day I wasn't feeling very well. I'd thrown up the night before, so that's probably affected that as well. And in the middle there's, I think that's day 4. Yeah, day 4 is 73. So it did increase, but I think the last reading is probably a bit overboard just due to how I was feeling. Underneath that we've got my basal insulin, which I normally take 10 units in 2 5-unit doses, and that dropped to 5.5, then to 4, and then to nothing, and nothing was too little. I should have kept it at half a unit or maybe 1 unit, which is something I'll remember for next time. And dawn phenomenon bolus, so I always inject a Nova Rapid as soon as I wake up, and I normally inject 2 units of that. And then normally later on in the day I have to inject another 1 to 1.5 units to keep my blood sugars from creeping up anymore. And that dropped after the first day to nothing, or it should have done. I actually injected the first day, and that put me low, and I had to eat some sugar. So there are my results. I hope you found that useful. And now on to the summary. Actually, not quite onto the summary just yet, mate. That's going to be saved for another video. But what we will do is go through these blood sugars here. So what we've got is the first 2.5 days, and there would have been more, but I bloody buggered it up and knocked my Libra sensor off. But anyway, there are patterns here, believe it or not, after looking at it and thinking about it. And the first pattern I'd like to point out is that I dropped at about 6 in the morning every single day. You can see how the blood sugar drops down there. On the first day it went into the red. Each of those was because my basal was too high, I realised. And on the first day, on the far left, I dropped too low. I didn't reduce my basal. I dropped too low. Then I had some Jaggery, which was sugar. That spiked me up, as well as the dawn phenomenon. And then I went for a run as well, which tends to spike me to start with as well. So that's why that peaked so much. That followed by a crash, and then followed by me needing to eat some more sugar, which followed by another peak, and then I injected and then dropped it again. So that's why that was a bit more erratic. And the second pattern I'd like to point out is that after I wake up, assuming that I don't have to correct with any sugar, I tend to rise throughout the day. And I've had to correct that throughout the day with half units on occasion. So you can see that on the second one and the third one. On the third one, just before the Libra sensor came out, I just injected half a unit, so it would have dipped back into the blue, and probably would have been a very similar day to the middle day there, the second day. So yeah, these trends can be explained by basically too much basal, or should I say too much basal kicking in at one particular point. The fact that I'm rising throughout the day would suggest that I haven't got enough background on basal throughout the later parts of the day, so I could try and split my basal into 2 injections. The issue is I've done that before, and for whatever reason that seems to make my control even worse. I'm not sure if that's because of the crossover over the 2 injections or what. But at least that gives me some insight into how my sugars are behaving, or misbehaving, as they tend to do. And I now know that I need to inject a little bit more throughout the day because my blood sugars tend to rise. So yeah, it's been pretty insightful, really. The only other thing that seems a little bit different is that on that third day there. Oh, by the way, these are days 2, 3, and 4, or 2, 3, and 4.5. Not 4.5, 2, 3.5. The only other thing is on that far right one, there's 2 dips. There's one at the 6 in the morning. There's also one at about 3 in the morning. The one at the 3 in the morning must have been the basal as well. That must have kicked in earlier for whatever reason. Maybe it absorbed a bit quicker, or maybe it was insulin sensitivity was up because I'd not been eating for a while, or it could be many variables. Unfortunately, that's what makes this such a pain in the arse. But anyway, it was an interesting experiment, and I hope you found the results interesting. I shall see you soon.